All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. Hour 2, Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. We're talking fantasy baseball here. Don't despair. Lots of college basketball talk coming later today. You know that by tomorrow night, you're going to know exactly who's in the Final Four. And as we close in on the NFL draft and the NBA playoffs, George and I will have you covered throughout the fantasy baseball season. And of course, as we get closer to the NFL draft, we will do sort of a hybrid show of baseball and NFL draft. I would say, what do you think, George? A couple of weeks, still a couple of weeks, I think, till we dive a little deeper into that. But I think this week, all fantasy baseball, next week, all fantasy baseball. And then I would guess the following week, we start to dive a little bit more into the draft and the betting aspect and talking some football. So, by the way, I forgot, is Gray on this show? Did we book him this week? Oh, Gray is on. Oh, awesome. Okay, Gray will be with us as well. So, yeah, as you can see, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm thinking it through as we go. It's great.
So like the Giants here, right? The New York Giants, who are they just keep signing quarterbacks here. So hopefully they're at the quarterback.
Yeah, it's true. They signed a quarterback or two.
Wilson,
you know what's funny? Let me tell you a story. You know what's funny about that was Sam, who's producing the show, reached out to me to come talk some baseball with Joe Ranieri on a random night. And earlier this week, I said yes. I get to my office where I do the show. I hit the button to come on the air, and Joe was asking me about Russell Wilson signing with the Giants. I'm like, I didn't even know that even happened, man. Like, I mean, literally, like, was walking in to react to that. That was like the most natural reaction I could have gotten. But we'll hit on football in a couple of weeks. Let's get back to some baseball here. Kumar Rocker starts Monday. A lot of expectations for him this season, of course, with the Texas Rangers. He and Leiter, those two young guys, to go along with Eovaldi and their other pitching staff. At the Reds Monday, you could not ask for a worse environment to make a start here for Kumar Rocker. I hope he does well, but I don't know.
I'll be watching, though, because I am curious, to put it nicely, all right? This whole Rangers stat, Eovaldi, all right, looked really good, right? We had some worries about Eovaldi. Leiter, we had lots of worries about, right? Can he be that guy? Okay, he looked really good. All right, DeGrom is going, I think, tomorrow, so we'll be watching that to see if he can be that guy. And now Rocker. All right, well, will he be the top prospect he once was? Remember, the Mets drafted him. They didn't like the medicals, so they sent him back or didn't sign him. However, he got screwed, Rocker, however that works out. Weird situation in baseball. And now he's back. And the Rangers need him. Well, listen, they're not going to hit on all these guys, all right? DeGrom's not going to be the Cy Young guy. Leiter's not going to be great. Rocker's not. They're not all going to be, hit their profitability here. But I'm curious. That being said, as you already said it, I'm not starting him. It's not a good spot. It's on the road. It's in Cincinnati. It's a bandbox here, even in April. Will it be April? Monday? No, Monday's still March. So March.
One more March.
No.
Yeah.
One more March day. But April 1st. Don't get a fool with April Fool's Day, boys and girls. But no, I'm not starting him this week. He's a wait and see. That being said, you might want to roster him before. If he has a good start Monday, his price is going way up in fab next week.
Yeah, fair. Okay, this is an easy one. Simeon Woods Richardson of the Minnesota Twins. I don't know what the Twins' offense necessarily will look like Tuesday against the White Sox, but it is the White Sox here at this point. I don't care how well they played opening day. This is an offense to target against. 2-3 really strong quality hitters the White Sox have. That's it. Start this guy.
Agreed. Once again, you're picking on the White Sox. You're going to pick on the Pirates. You're going to pick on the Marlins. You're probably picking on the Angels. Those are the 4 teams on the top of my head. Probably the Tampa Bay Rays, too, by the way. They don't hit much either. Those are the teams you looked up hit against there. I don't love SWR long-term, but I think, once again, he's a streamer. You want to go at him this week and you move on after that, fine. I don't see big things coming here. I think he's a streamer guy and a two-start week guy. That's all I really have for SWR. I don't expect big things. Pitching at home, once he gets there, by the way, that is another ballpark where the ball flies out of. So I'm careful there as well. Like I said, I like him this week, but not long-term.
I'm assuming this next player is owned in every fantasy league. If not, then something's strange because Jackson Jobe is arguably that doesn't make sense. Sam says 30%. I mean, this is arguably the top 40. One of the top, if not the top pitching prospects going into the season. No one looked better than Jackson Jobe for the Tigers in spring training. He faces Seattle. If you don't get ahead of this now, it's going to be too late. I don't know what his long-term prospects are. He is a rookie. You generally don't know But as far as the way that you play this game of fantasy is you have to get ahead of a player like this, George. So if this guy goes out and throws 5 innings, strikes out 7, and gives up 2 earned runs, then he's going to be 80% owned the next week. So you may as well just do it now. I think that this is a very high ceiling player.
I have no argument with you. I agree. I am also surprised it's only 40%. I would have thought it would have been higher. Maybe, listen, I'm not talking 90, but I would have thought it would have been the 60s, 70s. I think it tells you there's a lot of 10-team leagues out there. And 10-team leagues, okay, maybe you don't have him there. Anything 12 and above, he's rostered. Has to be. It's a very good. The Mariners are another team I should have mentioned that you're picking against. They cannot hit. All right, so they're another team you're picking against, especially in Seattle at Pitchers Ballpark there. Yeah. And even, by the way, even Joe pitching at home, Detroit, another Pitchers Ballpark. Everything you said about Mines also goes to Joe. My only worry here is that Tigers can't hit much either. So there's going to be some times during the season if you roster them all year, but yeah, you're going to lose 3-2. You're not going to get the W because you're going to lose 2-1. If you're playing a quality start, you got a better shot, assuming they let him go 6 innings, which could also be an issue, especially early on this season here. But yeah, I'm high on Job. I probably prefer him over Mines, but I'm high on Mines as well. I like, once again, these are both top prospects, and Detroit may finally be realizing that. And eventually they may have something like Skubal, Mize, Job, all pitching well. You got Flaherty for the veteran presence there. They can just hit a little bit. They're going to be dangerous.
Hayden Birdsong, don't really know what to expect here. He starts Tuesday at Houston. This is not like a must add, but I think it's like a watch here. Houston's offense still very dynamic, and I know the Giants really liked what they saw in the spring. So, back end starter for the Giants, probably better matchups, I'm guessing, at home. So I could probably leave him on the wire, but I'll keep an eye on this.
Agreed. Scout team, right? A little scout team, little binoculars button you hit there on your online team. Someone to watch. I am not starting him this week. Houston's not a great it's not a great team to face. Plus, you're in a ballpark where the ball does fly, especially down the lines there. But he's someone who's on my mind here. You said at home, sure. Once again, pitching in San Fran. Much better pitcher's ballpark here. I'm interested in here. He's not a top prospect, but he was a prospect here. It's not a guy we should just ignore here, but not someone I'm looking to start this week.
This next one, I hate to say it, but in one start, not going to overreact at all. But you got to bet against age here, and doing that the last 5 years, you'd be wrong. But that's just the way that I sort of play fantasy. Is I'll just be wrong about the older guy. And Charlie Morton's had a fantastic career, one of my favorite guys. But I don't know, it didn't look good in Toronto. I'm going to wait here before putting him in another start. And look, if you drafted him, I think you're also thinking, ooh, maybe I should just hold on here and wait a little bit before I see some results.
You watched that game last night. Even the outs were loud. They were loud. I mean, he wasn't fooling anybody. All right, they were on him, and they were hitting rockets all over the place. A lot of Adam Bulls that kept them in there. I want nothing to do with Charlie Morton. Remember, Baltimore brought the fences in, too, so he's not going to get the benefit of that. No, Morton, let it be somebody else's problem.
All right, Gavin Williams starts against the Angels. Good matchup, I would think, next Friday.
I think he's starting today as well here. So you get to see him first before you put in that bid. But, yeah, I like Gavin Williams. I liked him. I liked him last year. It didn't work out coming back from injury. He got roughed up a bunch here. But he had a really good spring here. I think he's back to being that pitcher here. If you drafted, you probably got him at a little bit of a bargain because of what happened last season. If he's still on your waiver wire, yeah, Cleveland, good ballpark to pitch in here. I think he's going to pitch well today, or at least not get bombed by Kansas City, and there's a good start next week. Yeah, I am in on Gavin Williams.
The same can be said for Verlander for the Giants. I think I'd probably actually be more interested in Birdsong than I would for Verlander. I mean, you're just chasing a win at this point against Seattle next week.
He looked good for what it's worth here, but it is against Seattle. I think once again, early, good. As the season rolls along, not so much. Get a couple of good starts and move them.
All right, we'll be back with more FST next. Don't go away.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You are banking on a guy that's got one Sweet 16 berth in his career.
How many years has he been a D1 head coach?
What, 15?
18.
This clown is walking into that tradition. Let me tell you something, bro. You just stepped into the hot seat, because if you don't turn it around quick at Villanova, they're going to boo you out of there just like they booed you out of College Park tonight.
Only on SportsGrid.
Should be a fun day of baseball before we get to some hoops tonight, because everybody's playing today in Major League Baseball. 4 teams off tomorrow, strange on a Sunday. These quirks get worked out after next week. Remember, next week we're going to get opening day everywhere else in the other cities and, early games, etc. But for now, more of the same is what we've seen this week. And so let's preview a few of the series, see what we could potentially expect. Just a reminder for something that I said earlier in the show. This is not your lineup freak out this week for fantasy. Managers are going to try to get a lot of players in who are not going to play every day this weekend. So just keep an eye on that. All right, Brewers, Yankees. Let's start off here with the matchups for Saturday and Sunday. The debut of Max Fried is coming fast and furious today. And guess who he's going to be facing off with? It is old buddy Nestor Cortez. And then Sunday, Aaron Savali will take on Marcus Stroman. So I think should be a fun series in between. All eyes, of course, will be on Max Fried. But, George, I think we also know that Nestor Cortez is going to be supremely motivated to take down his old team, too. So I think that's one of the better matchups of today.
It's a fun matchup, right? You already said it. Fried making his Yankee debut, although the big money contract he signed during the offseason. We'll see how he does there. And as you said, Cortez traded for, pretty much Devin Williams. Yeah, the Yankees at that point had a whole bunch of extra starters here. Have to wonder, by the way, if if they can redo that, Cortez might still be a Yankee. All right, Weaver's your close here. You're still finding you got the extra starter here. But the Yankees might, or they're going to need at some point during the season. But should be an interesting matchup today. It's a beautiful day in New York today. Best day of the year by far, 75 and sunny, which for March is amazing here. Maybe we get some runs today as well. Ball might be flying out of Yankee Stadium.
The Orioles take on the Blue Jays, usually runs scored in these games, maybe some overs coming here. Let's take a look at the matchup Saturday. Dean Kramer against Max Scherzer, and then Sunday, the debut of Tomoyuki Sugano against Chris Bassett. Bassett we know, Sugano we don't. The other thing, George, that's really, I want to keep an eye on here is it feels like they're rushing Max Scherzer a little bit, doesn't it? It feels like with all the issues that he had in the spring, that maybe it's him. Look, at this stage, let's be clear. Max Scherzer, Hall of Famer, okay? He can call some shots. It feels like Scherzer may be calling the shots here a little bit because he had like all these different finger issues, I think, going into the season. So I don't know. Is this a 6-inning start for Scherzer? Is this a 2-batter start for Scherzer? I don't know what the outcome is going to be of this.
I think bottom line is, by the way, I agree with everything you said. You're not starting Scherzer in this game. All right, you're just not, because 6 innings would be a shock. I think it'll be somewhere in between. It's a thumb. I believe the thumb he's having trouble putting pressure on the thumb on the baseball there. So I don't know what you're going to get. His last spring training start was solid here, so maybe he's past it, maybe he's not. But once again, you're in a bandbox running against a good lineup here. No, thank you. I'll pass. And I'm curious tomorrow. We're going to get a Sagano, see what he's going to look at here in his first off of Baltimore. They need him to be at least a serviceable starter, if not even better than that, to really survive this season. So, curious weekend in Toronto. Absolutely. Scherzer for 1, Sagano for 2.
All right. We've got the Phillies taking on the Nationals. Phillies are seething a little bit at seeing Mackenzie Gore. It doesn't get much easier. They get the debut of Jesus Luzardo for the Phillies today. Jake Irvin also. Washington's very high on both Irvin and Mitchell Parker. They split up Nola and Wheeler for the righty-lefty-righty. But I think these are going to be really competitive games. I don't think Washington's a pushover by any means. I mean, their odds to win the division and win the World. I'm not saying they're going to do any of that, but I think they're an underrated team going into the year.
Yeah, I hate to say nice things about Sam Yarnell's Washington Nationals, but I agree. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they play in a rough division, right? Braves are going to be good. Phillies are good. Mets will be – I don't think the Mets are a great team, but they're a good team as well here. So it's a rough division. I think Washington is improving, heading in the right direction here. So I like Jake Irvin. I do. I think it's going to be a lower-scoring game today with Luzardo. So for where it was work, you might want to go that direction there. Nola, I have my doubts about him still being the pitcher he used to be. But Mitchell Parker, one thing I'm curious about the young Washington Nationals guy more. I know what the Phillies guys are going to do. All right, they do the same thing every year. But the young Washington National starters, I am curious to see what they can do.
All right, we've got Pirates, Marlins the next 2 days. And Miami had to make a change to their rotation. They lost a couple of pitchers going into the season. So Valente Beloso, who, if you look at his stats, just his real stats last season from when he started, he did a really good job for him. If you look at the external stats, you would see that maybe he was a little bit lucky. He'll face Bailey Falter for Pittsburgh. They had to make a move, of course, in their rotation, not having Jared Jones. And then on Sunday, it is Andrew Heaney, who the Pirates signed to a 1-year contract, against Max Meyer. Miami very high on him as well. I mean, that would probably be, of the 4, the one I'd be most interested in watching this weekend is Max Meyer, just because he did give up he's sacrificed a couple of things and may give up a couple runs here and there, but his extra stuff is just so good. And I'm most curious of the 4. And again, I'm a Marlins person, but I'm most curious to see Meyer pitch on Sunday.
Well, I'm not a Marlins person, but Meyer is the only interest here of this 4. All right, to see once again, a former top prospect, to see if he can, I guess, eventually be that guy here. I'm not starting any of these guys fantasy-wise. So, listen, I'm by the way, gambling, probably staying away from these 2 games as well here. I don't like any of them enough to really go the unders either here, so leaving it alone. And I don't know why, but Valente Beloso, every time I hear that name, I keep thinking of Leslie Nielsen's character in Major League when he sang the national anthem. Enrique Palacio, that's it. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's in every time. Related. All I can think is him trying to sing the national anthem there, which is hilarious.
Yeah, completely unrelated. Justin Verlander and Robbie Ray are the starters this weekend for the Giants. How about that? Against Nick Lodolo and Nick Martinez. George, you said it earlier, and I'll say it again. I just don't want to ever get bit in Cincinnati because I always feel like it's just 2 pitches away from giving up 7 runs here. So this is for me just watching from afar. Nick Martinez was signed to a nice contract this offseason by the Cincinnati Reds. Always been a pretty serviceable pitcher. I mean, that could be the better matchup of the 2.
Listen, I'm interested in the veterans and Verlander and Ray. I want to see if they have anything left, what they look like here. Ray is somebody who fell in drafts. He had the Tommy John, didn't pitch much last year, so he fell in drafts. Can he return to being that guy? JV, we'll see. Well, it's sort of the Scherzer thing, which without the injury here, I don't know what he can give you here, but I'm not interested in starting really any of these guys this weekend.
All right, Cleveland has TBDs announced for their starters against Lugo and Waka. Is that right? So we can't really do much there.
I think it's Williams and Bibby. Right? Gavin today, Bibby tomorrow.
Okay. We'll come back and we'll be Red Sox Rangers.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You're banking on a guy that's got one Sweet 16 berth in his career.
How many years has he been a D1 head coach?
What, I think 15?
18.
This clown is walking into that tradition. Let me tell you something, bro. You just stepped into the hot seat, because if you don't turn it around quick at Villanova, they're going to boo you out of there just like they booed you out of College Park tonight.
Only on SportsGrid.
Red Sox Rangers this weekend, George, seems to be potentially fun series, because we get our first looks in new uniforms, and a first look at since last year it's Jacob deGrom. So we got Buehler pitching for the Red Sox Saturday against Tyler Mahle. Richard Fitz, full transparency, don't know a lot about him, facing off against Jacob deGrom on Sunday. deGrom, who came back for the Rangers last season, was absolutely fantastic. They were very careful with him in the spring, and I know that he was drafted, as we've talked about, super high in fantasy this season. So, yeah, I'll have my eye on that. Buehler, who was so dominant during the World Series last year, ended up getting that contract with the Boston Red Sox. They're hoping for a lot from him, too.
It's interesting, right? Buehler. I want to see what happens today with Buehler. I'm a Buehler guy. All right. So I have high hopes for him that he can pitch well in Boston. But most eyes are going to be on deGrom tomorrow. All right. We want to know. I mean, I got to tell you, Craig, I am shocked. I mean, people are picking him for Cy Young. I'm not talking about people in the industry. People who I can't. Boy, I don't see how he's making enough starts or going to pitch enough innings to win the Cy Young Award. And I've got him in the league, but I kept him in my home league sort of because I had no other choice. And he's round 21, so I had nothing to lose here. I just don't know if I see the high hopes everyone else is. I hope he ends up being that guy again, but I have no idea what you're going to get from him. So I'm very curious to see how he pitches tomorrow as well. As for Fitz, I barely heard of him until earlier this week, right? He's only starting because Bello and Giolito are both out for Boston. So
Right.
We'll see what happens there. But I said I can't tell you anything about him other than he's a right-hander, and we'll see what happens there. But deGrom, I want to see Buehler today. deGrom tomorrow. Can't wait.
One of the hot names in spring training pitches for the Braves today. And again, some people picking this guy to win the Cy Young. Spencer Schwellenbach, who was untouchable for the Braves in the spring, faces off with Randy Vasquez. Then Sunday, another young Brave starter, A.J. Smith-Shawver, who was back and forth with the majors and minors, is going to pitch as they close out their series against Nick Pivetta, new member of the San Diego Padres. Braves 0-2 to start. But I don't know. Something tells me the Schwellenbach's going to have a big year.
I agree. By the way, I think the Braves win today as well against Schwellenbach versus Vasquez there. I think he's going to have a good year. I'm big, maybe a little strong for me, but he's going to have a good year. If you drafted after he made that start against the Yankees in the exhibition game here, we had, 10 strikeouts and, like 3-4 innings, whatever. It was ridiculous. His price went way up there. So we got him before that here, but I like Schwellenbach a lot. And, Smith-Shawver, I kind of think that he could be something as well here. So I think he can be a little sneaky little grab here in your fantasy leagues here. Well, a little rough, when he first started against San Diego. Not really where you want to go. But I kind of like he's definitely a watch and see guy.
We've got Shota Imanaga is going to be the first. Is that right? The first to make 2 starts. I guess Sasaki will also. But Imanaga starts. Who did? Sorry.
Yamamoto.
Oh, Yamamoto did too. I'm just a wealth of positive information here. Brandon Pfaadt, who got the contract extension, he starts for the Diamondbacks, and then Sunday it is Matthew Boyd. Yes, that same Matthew Boyd starts for the Cubs against Eduardo Rodriguez. Man, the more I look at Arizona, I think, George, like, this is a really good team, man. Good starting pitching staff, good hitting too. I mean, I know the Dodgers are going to be better than them probably, but man, I am not sleeping on Arizona. Every time I look up and I see who's pitching for them, I'm like, oh, he's good, he's good, he's good too.
They're a good team, right? I mean, they are. It's a shame you play with the Dodgers. If they weren't in that division, we'd be talking about them to win the division. They're a playoff team. I'm very little doubt about it. And they'll be, like I said, they're a team that could give the Dodgers some fits in a five if they end up playing with a 5-game series, even a 7-game series, because they can sort of match the pitching there and maybe have just enough hitting. Maybe they'll have additions as well here. So yeah, I kind of like the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. And Menage, I'm sure will be great. Pfaadt, we'll see what he does today. You mentioned signed a big contract. Good for him. And then you get a couple of, I guess, older veterans there in Boyd and Eduardo Rodriguez tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we're going to see Sasaki again pitch against poor Detroit. I like Detroit a lot. I know that you're giving them a hard time, George. I think Detroit's going to be fine. They're playing the Dodgers, man. Like, the Dodgers are a tough team to beat.
Can't hit.
I know.
That
hitting
line is bad.
It's not great.
And I love Riley Green, by the way. I love Riley Green. I'm a big Riley Green guy. I was targeting him in all drafts here. But the rest of that lineup is just not good. Although Gleyber Torres got off to a good start so far.
Yes, he has. All right. Gray Albright is getting ready to join us next of Razzball. We'll get his thoughts on the first 48 hours of the Major League Baseball season. So make sure you stay on the grid for that. And then we'll get ready to wrap it up. A little buy or sell. And then, top of the hour, we get back to some basketball. We've got, of course, college basketball coming your way later today. We'll figure out who's going to head to the Final Four. As I got something to watch tonight. My Gators will be in action. We'll be right back.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You are banking on a guy that's got 1 Sweet 16 berth in his career.
How many years has he been a D1 head coach?
What, I think 15?
18.
This clown is walking into that tradition. Let me tell you something, bro. You just stepped into the hot seat, because if you don't turn it around quick at Villanova, they're going to boo you out of there just like they boo you out of College Park tonight.
Only on SportsGrid.
Always such a pleasure to get Gray Albright up and early out in California on a Saturday morning up with us. And he's with me and George every Saturday. We'll talk some fantasy baseball. Gray was at last night's game where the Dodgers ended up coming back to beat the Detroit Tigers. And Gray, I mean, you got a chance to see Yamamoto pitch. I would say that's as good as he's ever looked, probably through 5 innings. Is that fair?
No, I think the best he's ever looked was in the WBC like 2 years ago. He looked, but for MLB, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it was so crazy that like I was at the game and they, you know how they put the stats up on the board, and it said something like, I think for his time in MLB, he had I think an under 3 ERA, I believe it said. And it was like in like maybe 75 innings. It's like he's thrown so few innings so far that it's like you forget that it's like he's really good when he's actually pitching. But yeah, he didn't really throw much last year. He threw like maybe a half a season ish. But yeah, he looked good. He didn't go very deep even last night. I think it was, but he went deeper than I think he had been. Maybe it was like 90 pitches. It was a good game though. A lot of fun. Dylan Dingler got into one. Dingler Dinger. That's what we call our fan club.
My God, if I say that name a couple of times, I'm definitely screwing that up here. Before we start, I guess, raising the alarm bells about what happened on the first couple of days here, Sasaki goes today. What are we expecting? He only went a couple of, 3 innings in his first start there in the Tokyo series. What do you think about Sasaki today versus Detroit?
Yeah, I don't think he's that different than any of the other Dodger pitchers. Like Blake Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto, who we just mentioned. I think they all are kind of like the Dodgers put together a staff, and Dustin May really. The Dodgers put together a staff that's probably going to go like maybe 5 and a half, 5 and a third innings. Like not really they're not really a team that is built with starters that are going to go deep into the game, which is fine. I mean, they have a good bullpen. So yeah, I mean, I like him. I wouldn't imagine he throws more than, again, maybe 85 to 90 pitches at most, so hopefully he has his command, which we haven't really seen yet from him. If he has his command, maybe he goes 5 innings. Good 5 innings, but yeah, not deep into the game. Not that a lot of pitchers go deep into the game anymore really in the majors.
Yeah, and Gray, I know you play both leagues, but you're an NL guy at heart, I think too. So I'll stick with the NL here a little bit. What do you make of Tatis leading off for the Padres here? They've had different options. Used Arias last year a little bit. Used Merrill. I mean, Gray, did the reporters for the Padres get caught off guard here a little bit? It seems like they're saying, whoa, this may be like a good thing kind of thing. I mean, maybe I didn't follow it as closely, but I mean, it's going to hurt him in terms of runs driven in, but he seemed really comfortable leading off.
Yeah, it's kind of like a thing where, like, in the beginning of the season, I always feel like this happens. Like spring training, it's like, oh yeah, Fernando Tatis Jr. is who he is, expect the normal. And then you get to like the first game and it's like, oh yeah, he's going to run more. He wants to steal 50 bases. He's going to hit leadoff. He's going to have like this amazing season. It's like, what? Why didn't you tell us this in March when we were actually drafting? Instead, you tell us like the day after the season begins, and it's too late to do anything with this information. Yeah, he looks totally different. I did not expect this. I don't think – I mean, I really listen to just about every beat writer because, you guys, like you with the Marlins, but everyone, beat writers really are – they're in the trenches. They know – what's going on. Like if anyone really wants to follow no one else but beat writers on Twitter and or X, and you'll be in the know for everything because they really they give you everything you need to know. But yeah, I did not hear one word about Fernando Tatis Jr. It was just okay, I guess he's gonna be a 50-50 guy this year. Who knew this? I didn't know.
Yeah, me either. Leading off was not something I saw. Go ahead, George. Sorry.
All right, now we can ring some alarm bells here. Fantasy owners, we don't have any patience. Rafael Devers, 0 for 8 to start the season. 7 strikeouts here. He's a DH. He doesn't like that. He's got the shoulder injury as well here. I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, great. How worried are you about Rafael Devers?
Well, George, not to toot my own horn, but on Rasball, I said to not draft Rafael Devers in any league. I think I had him ranked lower than anyone else that I saw, at least. I was super concerned. I don't want to go anywhere near him simply because of the shoulder. Now, I didn't really, know how much the DH was going to really play into his head. And I don't know if we really know that at like 100% for sure yet, that it's the DH that could potentially even like drive down his price further. But yeah, the shoulder, man, when you have a shoulder injury as a hitter and then you have the entire offseason and that doesn't get back percent and you show up at camp and you're still nursing a shoulder injury, that is such a huge red flag. So I was nowhere near Rafael Devers this year. But yeah, I don't know. Now with the DH, that could get ugly real fast because you have like Bregman there who you brought in, who is great and should be playing third base. But if Rafael Devers starts making noise like, I'm better when I'm playing the field, then it's like, okay, where are we putting this guy? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, we've seen that before. So, Gray, I was at, clearly the Marlins games the last couple of days. You know what? I don't want to play that too early game, but man, like Bednar, he's getting hit again here. Like the Pirates really must like someone behind him going into the season because in the end, every organization, I know that we poke fun, but they are smart. Like they're not stupid. They know, okay, look, if this doesn't go well, we'll have someone else. By the way, I liked Bednar a lot several years ago. It was a great trade for them to get him from the Padres, but he didn't pitch well last year. He hasn't looked good thus far, too, and it hasn't mattered all that much because they had a big lead yesterday. But what was your approach there with him and getting saves? Is there like a guy right now? But if you're in the sort of let me panic mode, because I haven't seen anybody out of their bullpen yet that's looked great.
Yeah, no, I know it's not a great situation. I think Bednar has been bad, like you alluded to. I mean, he's been bad since probably July of last year. It's been a while. So, like, if you're going back almost a half year back to last year and you're still not putting it together, there's something else going on. I don't know what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if they try Dennis Santana. That's who would be my best guess as to who would take over if Bednar finally is like, maybe a Phantom IL stint. Maybe they move him to the 7th inning just to sort of get right. I don't really like Colin Holderman for the job. Even his name aside, I don't really think he has the stuff for it. So, yeah.
Gray, another guy who provided free air conditioning on opening day was Jackson Chourio of the Brewers. 5 strikeouts here. Are you concerned at all about him?
No, I'm not concerned about Chourio. Check back with me in about a month just to make sure everything's going there. But yeah, I feel like he's just a young player who's going to be super exciting, and I think that was just one game. I'm not concerned.
Gray, real quick, over at Rasball.com, I know you have the Streaminator and a lot of great options there for you. Tell us more, real quick, 15 seconds. What any good promo codes or anything going on?
You come on and you get a 3-day free trial over at Rasball, so you can check out which pitchers to stream.
Fair enough. Rasball.com. Thanks, Gray.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You are banking on a guy that's got one Sweet 16 berth in his career.
How many years has he been a D1 head coach?
What, 15?
18.
This clown is walking into that tradition. Let me tell you something, bro. You just stepped into the hot seat, because if you don't turn it around quick at Villanova, they're going to boo you out of there just like they booed you out of College Park tonight.
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports. Today, we got about 15 minutes to go as we get ready for Adam and Tom. They got betting above the rim here coming up because, of course, we got a lot of college basketball programming later. Schedule gets back to normal more or less next week. Then we get to the NFL draft, so on and so forth. But for now, we stick with some fantasy baseball as we got about 15 minutes to go here on the show. Time to play a little buy or sell. What an impressive debut it was for Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. He ended up having the most strikeouts of anybody thus far in a Major League Baseball game this season. Buy or sell, George? Mackenzie Gore will be a top 15 fantasy baseball pitcher this season. Top 15. Buy or sell?
You know, these questions are made up by Sam Yarnell, our producer, man behind the glass here. Who's a Washington Nationals fan here? You ever get the feeling that he just made this where you have to say buy, all right? Because top 15? Yeah, I think he'll be top 15. Come on, Sam, make it top 10. Make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe even top 5. Yeah, I think he's got the upside to be that. Once again, he is a good pitcher anyway. Once a top prospect here, you're pitching in a good pitcher's ballpark here. I think the upside is there for him to be much better than top 15. Top 5 may be pushing it, but I think he'll be inside the top 10. So, yes, I am well on board the Mackenzie Gore train.
All right. Yeah, I think that I am going to buy this too, man. I don't know. He's just and again, it's not just that one start for me. I mean, I think I have the video somewhere. I was like literally sitting behind home plate for one of his starts in Palm Beach, and I was like, wow, like this guy's stuff looks really, really good. Yeah, I'm going to buy it too. I think he's a potential Cy Young Award candidate. As George said, you're dealing with bigger markets and bigger names with LA and some of the other teams. Arizona's got some great pitchers too. But I think he's definitely in the mix. And look, do I think he's a top 2 guy? No. Do I think he's a top 15 guy? Yes. I'll buy that. As his season, I think, is going to be a special one for him. All right, Boston Red Sox have had a lot of positive vibes coming out of there. I mean, they got Bregman, they got a great lineup. Their young players are playing well. Campbell got off to a good start on opening day. Bray hit a couple of home runs. Pitching looks much better too. All of a sudden, the Red Sox are one of those teams that could be formidable this season. Could be. Buy or sell, George? Opening day made you more optimistic about the Boston Red Sox.
The American League is not like the National League. All right, the National League, we know the Dodgers are going to be great, right? They're great already. Phillies, good team. Braves, good team. You and I both believe the Arizona Diamondbacks, good team. Mets should make some noise as well here. The American League has no great team. I mean, really, all right. I don't really expect much from the Rays, regardless of their walk-off home run win yesterday. White Sox, no. Angels, no. Athletics are improving, but probably not going to compete. Everybody else, I can make an argument for that they could win here. I already said I think the Red Sox win the division. I have money on the Red Sox to win the division. How much more optimistic can I be about them? Because they won an opening day? So it's a weird question to me because I like them. I said I have a ticket on them to win the American League East. I think they are a good team. I think right now they might be a team that represents the American League in the World Series. Am I more optimistic about them? No, not because they won on opening day. So I'll sell this, even though I think they are. They might be that team to beat in the American League.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy. Yeah, I'm gonna buy the Red Sox, and again, Roman Anthony is potentially coming too. I mean, this is supposedly a can't miss prospect. They get Bayo back. I'm never huge on Giolito, but the pitching looks good. I mean, Bueller's could be a factor as Devers is okay, along with this offense that they have. Tristan Casas. I'm gonna buy. I think the Red Sox are a playoff team, so could give the Yankees some problems. Never a team that's afraid to add players as Boston as well. So really, positive vibes, I would say, thus far for the Red Sox. All right, Manny Machado is your major league leader in stolen bases this season. And he has the most in the National League. A lot of guys are tied with 2. But this is a little bit of a surprise considering the track record of Machado, even going back to his younger days. Buy or sell, Manny Machado will steal, this is a high number, 20-plus bases this season, Sam. I think he set this a little high.
He's only hit 20 once in his career. All right. And that was in 2015. All right. That's 10 years ago. It's a hot start. Maybe they're planning on running more and it's an organizational thing and we're going to find out about it. Fine. I'm going to have to sell this. It's a hot start. Great. Love to see him. Listen, I've got him on a fantasy team too, so I love to see the bases. As I mentioned over and over again, I generally have problems with stolen bases, so love to see it. But once again, I go by track record, and my track record tells you no. All right, he hasn't stolen 20. He's stolen 20 pretty much combined the past 4 years. All right, so no, I can't go the over here. Maybe he does reach it. Maybe he is going to run more, but I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say that his career is what it is here, and he's not going to steal more 20-plus bases here. No, sell.
Yeah, maybe he's planning on stealing 10 this year. It's possible. But, yeah, I mean, and look, it is fair to say, hey, he had 2 in the first 2 days. Why can't he have 20? But the track record just tells you that this is nowhere close. So I'm going to sell as well. If you set it at 12, I would think about it and think about going over. But 20 is a big number, even with the bases being bigger and in this day and age being easier to steal. I will still sell this. All right, Tanner Bibby did not make the start that he was supposed to. He is scheduled to start this weekend for Cleveland. Bibby getting scratched should have fantasy owners nervous. And look, this is a fair question because, again, anytime this happens, you have to at least wonder what happened here. And I guess we'll have clarity going into that start, or I'm sorry, after that start this weekend.
There are a lot of injuries that should have you nervous to a pitcher, right? Anything with the elbow, shoulder, ribs always scaring me because of all the torque that has to go on there. He was at an illness, food poisoning. No, I'm not nervous about it. Doesn't mean I'm thrilled about starting him tomorrow. I don't know how recovered he is from that, but I'll be feeling fine again for his next start, which I imagine will be next Friday, next Saturday, whatever it might be here. So, no. Should he get nervous? No, I don't think he should. Like I said, arm injuries are what I worry about here, not an illness. I think he'll be fine. And yes, if I had him on a fantasy team, I'm probably still starting him tomorrow. So there is that, but I think he'll be fine by his next start. I may be worried about tomorrow. I'm not worried about that line.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell this as well. Food poisoning, generally speaking, to me is not something to worry about, especially with a guy like him, supposed to be the best pitcher on Cleveland this season. I'll go with that. All right, we'll be back to wrap things up with the SportsGrid 60 and also get back to fantasy baseball talk. We'll be right back.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You are banking on a guy that's got one Sweet 16 berth in his career.
How many years has he been a D1 head coach?
What, I think 15?
18.
This clown is walking into that tradition. Let me tell you something, bro. You just stepped into the hot seat, because if you don't turn it around quick at Villanova, they're going to boo you out of there just like they boo you out of College Park tonight.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Thanks for sticking around with us, if you did, for the entire 2 hours of our show. And let's wrap it up with some discussion about what the future could hold for Rafael Devers. He has basically become this generation, George, of David Ortiz. I mean, David Ortiz at one point stopped playing first base, just became a DH only pretty quick, I think, into his Red Sox career. I'm going to say 5-6 years, just guessing. And interestingly enough, Alex Cora said that when Devers doesn't DH, he's not going to play third base. It would just basically be a day off, especially when Bregman doesn't play third base too. So Romy Gonzalez and David Hamilton could be the backups. And he basically said Devers is the DH of the Boston Red Sox. George, a month ago, we watched a press conference with Devers saying that he's not going to be the DH. So I guess something happened in between then and now.
I mean, I give some credit to Devers, right? I understand you want to play the field, even though you're not very good at it. But you want to play the field. You want to be, I guess, a full-time baseball player, whatever that is. But if you can make that transition to DH, it should theoretically keep your body even fresher here. And you should hit, like you mentioned, Ortiz, Edgar Martinez, guys who are fantastic at the job there. So I hope Devers can make that transition. But it's interesting, because if he's not truly happy here, and then he's not going to start to hit. I mean, I know Gray said he was never going to draft him anyway because more of the shoulder than the position move here. But you wonder if this could fester all season long. I do wonder this in the back of my mind here. And I would find it, as I don't think this will happen, but I would find it even funny if Bregman opts out after this season. And then they got to go to Devers. Oh, you know what? Let's put you at third base next year. I don't think Bregman's going to opt out, because I don't think anyone's going to pay him $40 million plus a year. Don't see that happening. But it's an interesting situation to watch.
All right, let's wrap things up. It's time now for George's Sports Grid 60.
Now, I've mentioned before, I love that baseball's back. Love opening day. There's just something romantic about it. Maybe it's, once again, it's the only thing my father and I ever agreed upon with our love of baseball and the Yankees. Love that fact that you can watch so many games here. Like I said, I've got the 6 TVs above around my fireplace surrounding it here, and I watch as many games as I possibly can. It's also a little sad at night, though, because I have all the games on, and you turn the TV off one by one as the games end. And I get that weird feeling. It's like, it's a feeling of dread. The games are over. Even though I know 12, 13 hours, whatever it might be, we all start again. This baseball's every day. Every day I get to, enjoy. That being said, there will be days where I call it a night early because my fantasy team just did nothing. They were terrible. I gave up 8 runs in 2 innings, and I know I'm not going to win that week now. Maybe whatever bets I made, they went downhill as well. So it's good to have baseball back. Even when the bad things happen here, I look forward to it. I love love setting lineups. First thing I'll do after this show now is go through my lineups here, try to set all my lineups here from all the information we have. It's good to have baseball back.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's funny that I can't advocate necessarily for the months of June and July in sports, but it got me thinking this is our last show for March, for the month of March, as we turn the calendar to April, which is coming up next week. But as good as the month of March is with fantasy baseball draft season and the NCAA tournament, look what we have coming up. We have the Final Four in April. We have essentially the start of the Major League Baseball season. We have the NFL draft, and we also have the Masters. So things just do not slow down. Now, they may this summer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's incredible with the end of the NBA playoffs, and I know George loves Stanley Cup hockey playoffs. That's coming soon too. But April's a great, exciting month for us here at SportsGrid, and it will be exciting here for Fantasy Sports Today too, because we have it all covered for you. Me personally, what am I looking forward to? Of course, baseball. Of course, the NFL draft. But without a doubt, 2 weeks away from the Masters at Augusta. I mean, it's honestly one of my favorite times for golf over the course of the year. So stay tuned for that. If you want to learn more, by the way, about all of our programming and how to stream our show and basically do it for free on the SportsGrid app, you could just download it, take out your phone. You've got the QR code there. It's available for iOS and Android, as we've talked about so many different times, and it's been revamped to make sure that the streaming options are really good for you. So download the SportsGrid app. It's available right now. All right, George, so what's on deck for you this weekend? Any programming here? Are you on the air at all, or this is it for you this weekend?
It's not it. No, I'll be on tomorrow night in-game live at some point there to go over the that day's baseball. So tomorrow night for me, somewhere between 8 and 12 midnight, I'll be on in-game live, I believe, with Adam, and I want to say Brady, although I'm not sure.
All right. Hey, you're going to have to get into this college basketball, man, because we're going to determine the Final Four tomorrow night. So you'll stick it to that. I'll be watching my Gators today. Go Gators. Bring it home. Let's get to another Final Four. Hopefully so. For Sam, for George, I'm Craig. Enjoy your weekend. See you next week.
You are banking on a guy that's got one Sweet 16 berth in his career.
How many years has he been a D1 head coach?
What, I think 15?
18.
This clown is walking into that tradition. Let me tell you something, bro. You just stepped into the hot seat, because if you don't turn it around quick at Villanova, they're going to boo you out of there just like they booed you out of College Park tonight.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.